Now, let me read just a few letters that I've received from New Mexicans over these last 2 days. Tambra from Deming, who depends on Social Security disability benefits and Medicaid, scared she will not be able to keep up with rent or basic necessities during the pause. Tambra wrote to me, "I will not be able to pay full-price rent. My heart is filled with uncertainty. I'm afraid for my neighbors with children. It has saddened my heart to see so many people, including myself, become unsure of the future." Caitlin from Taos wrote to my office expressing concern for her safety and security should Dreamtree, a federally funded youth shelter in northern New Mexico, shutter its services due to Trump's pause. She wrote, "Without Dreamtree, I wouldn't have a roof over my head, which would cause a lot of worry and fear, being vulnerable to sexual assault, which happened to me in the past. Dreamtree is not just a program. It's home. It's my safe space." Dolores from Albuquerque, fearful that she won't be able to make ends meet if she loses her job because of the freeze. She wrote to me, "Please help. I am a senior citizen trying to make ends meet. I am alone paying my own bills. I work in the Senior Community Service Employment Program, and President Trump's administration is going to cut the funding. I won't be able to pay my bills. I am so afraid." Shelley from Albuquerque, a dietitian nutritionist, scared for the very lives of her patients who depend on Medicaid to survive. She wrote to me, "Those I serve on the developmental disabilities waiver are Medicaid recipients, and some rely 100% on the specialized formula for tube feeding. To reiterate, they get 100% of their nutrition from that formula, primarily through a tube in their stomach. If they don't have it, they will starve." Louis from Las Cruces, who is concerned that his grandson won't be able to support his family if President Trump's order eliminates NIH funding, and consequently his grandson's job. Louis wrote to me, "My grandson graduated with honors from New Mexico State University. He's the recipient of an NIH grant, which has been suspended. He has a wife and child. I don't think that the president understands his actions affect real people." Joan from Santa Fe, who's already lost money due to Trump's funding freeze, Joan wrote, "I've just lost a $5,000 contract, and this order is going to have a negative ripple effect throughout the economy. Please protect federal workers from the Trump administration's purge and harassment." Mara from Albuquerque, who is a biomedical student at the University of New Mexico doing cancer research, fearful of what this freeze means for her job and ability to do this important work, wrote, "I am personally affected by this pause because of the NIH grants that sustain my lab, pay the salaries of my staff and students. These grants were applied for and awarded in good faith, and they pay for extremely important cancer research." Melissa from Albuquerque, who's a Head Start child care provider and has a son at Head Start. Melissa wrote to me, "I'm employed by Head Start. My son is a student at Head Start. I believe in what we do. I believe in the men and women I work with. These teachers change children's lives. I am so saddened and stressed. Can you please help?" Andrew from Albuquerque, a researcher at the University of New Mexico, whose work is funded by the National Science Foundation. Andrew wrote to me, "I work at the University of New Mexico as part of a team entirely funded from the National Science Foundation. We have been notified that we may lose our funding. This will likely result in the loss of my job and those of my colleagues." Aiton, a Forest Stewards Guild member in New Mexico, worried about how federal funding freeze, a federal funding freeze, could lead to more deadly and destructive wildfires across our state. Ayton wrote to me, "This disruption puts New Mexico at significant risk for catastrophic wildfire as we head into another high-risk fire season." Sienna from Taos, a behavioral health care provider, concerned that the loss of federal funding could prevent her from meeting the needs of toddlers and their families. Sienna wrote to me, "This is a total assault on New Mexico's most vulnerable populations. Our programs assist families every day, and this funding is at risk. Halting federal grants will impact the early childhood programs serving low-income kids." These letters paint a painful picture of the chaos and uncertainty that President Trump's actions have created in my state alone. What do you say to those Americans, President Trump? How could you possibly defend taking their taxpayer dollars, the work of their elected leaders, the Constitution you swore to defend just a few days ago, and pushing that all aside? And what funding exactly was thrown aside with it?